Hi guys and welcome back. Today I just want to talk about something that I actually wrote about on MSI College personally. I was writing an article and I wasn't really thinking about the line I was writing, but then I read it back and it made perfect sense. And it led into a topic of kind of why so many people don't succeed at what they're trying to achieve in life. In everything they're doing. There's people in the world who try to get in shape, they fail. They try and succeed in business, they fail. They fail with women, fail with pretty much everything they're doing. And I think this quote, I say quote, it's just pulled off an article that I actually wrote myself. And I'll read it to you now. There's nothing special about hard work, but the results of hard work appear to be remarkable and unachievable. And I think that's a real big issue for a lot of people. That they're looking at whatever the journey is in front of them from the wrong perspective. You see, when you want to get in shape, let's say you want to get in shape for summer, okay? That's very viable. That's something that people should be doing right now. A lot of people will be looking at models, people who are already in shape, and they'll be thinking, how on earth do I go from this to that? So the shape that they're currently in to the shape that they want to be in. And yeah, it can be pretty daunting. But like what I said earlier that was in the article, there's nothing special about hard work. Doesn't matter how rich or poor you are, doesn't matter what you have, where you come from, what you don't have, how old you are, and so on. Hard work can be achieved by anybody. But it's the results of hard work that appear to be remarkable and unachievable. So we see somebody who's in ridiculous shape, we think we can never get in that shape. But I'm telling you guys, you would be so surprised if you just worked day after day, day after day, day after day, dedicated everything to what you're doing. Results would land on your lap. And this came off the back of an article that I was writing about Pep Guardiola, the soccer manager or football manager, depending on where you're from. And I've always been fascinated by how many languages he's learned and the short space of time in which he learns them. And in about a year he was, you could say close to being fluent in German. And German's not an easy language to learn. The secret behind what he did, simply hard work, dedication, obsession, a relentless work ethic. He had a private tutor and he was learning German for 4 to 6 hours a day, mostly 6 hours a day. And that was his year off. He was living in New York, taking a sabbatical, yet he was still working like that in order to obviously make his next job easier because he was becoming the manager of Bayern Munich. But he said that he was obsessed with making sure that his first press conference was in German and so that he could talk to the players and get his point across, make his job easier, like we said. It reminds me of a quote by Michelangelo, the painter. He said, "If people knew how hard I had to work to gain my mastery, it would not seem so wonderful at all." And this is the illusion, this is the wall that gets pulled over all of our eyes. We see superstars, celebrities, people at the top of their game, but that's all we see. Like they say, success is like an iceberg. 90% of it is underwater. It's a cliche, and it's an overused quote, but it's really true. And see, the thing is, everybody knows that everybody started somewhere. Now, I remember hearing a Joe Rogan podcast, and he was talking about babies raising babies. And it's something you know, but you don't really acknowledge that your parents, your grandparents, so on, they were once babies. And nobody's that smart. Everybody had to learn just like we did from scratch. Everybody had to come out of the womb and then start learning stuff as they went along. Nobody knew all the answers from day one. That would just be stupidity to assume that. But we kind of do assume that because obviously by the time we gain consciousness around about 6 to 8 years old and we know what's going on in life and we can understand things a little bit better, we see adults as always being that way. They've always been in power. The presidents have always been in control. They've always been these top level leaders. But we know this. We don't acknowledge it enough. That everybody started at the lowest level. Everybody was once a baby who was gaining skills along the way, who couldn't even talk or walk. Yet now they're getting 40 points a game in an NBA game. They're on stage giving a enthralling speech. So you don't actually make that connection a lot of the time. People look at it from the daunting prospect of step one. See, it's like having a 100-mile journey that you need to do by foot. See, a lot of people will look at it and think, this is too daunting, this is my first step, this is going to take too long. They might look at somebody who's already completed the course and they'll think, oh, they're just better than me and so forth. All it means is that they started before you, or they were born before you. That's, in the majority of cases, that's all it is. You look at these global businesses. A lot of these global businesses that are maybe your competitors, maybe where you want to be in the future, something you can only dream of. These businesses started from nothing, but they probably had a 50, 60 year head start, and that's why they are where they are now. And all it means is that you're just beginning at a different point. You know, somebody who's in ridiculous shape just started 3 years before you. Doesn't mean it's unachievable for you. It appears that way because when you see the end product, everything feels a little bit distant. But you will be surprised, like I said, if you just make steps, if you just make tiny steps each day, one after the other, some consistency, before long you will be the guy that other people look at and they think, I would love to be at that level. And this is the importance of just daily improvement, doing things for yourself every single day, being selfish somewhat and using your time to improve. It really does bring you forward. And if you amass a good 5, 10, 15 years of this, which isn't long, that could be you start at 20 years old, you're 35 years old. Some of the biggest pros in the world, they're around about that age right now. Some of the biggest stars in the world are around about that age, if not older. I mean, I think The Rock's about 44, so it's not exactly old. And if you just kind of put that work in, you will be at one hell of a level. And you'll be the guy that everybody envies, everybody looks at and says, I'll never be able to get to that level. But like Michelangelo said, if people knew how hard I had to work to gain my mastery, it would not seem so wonderful at all. And that's what people don't see. And that's what a lot of people don't vision at the start. That it is going to take this little bit of work, and the people at the top of the mountain didn't just land there. So take that message today, guys. I hope that helps. We'll leave all of the links to our website and social media in the description. We'll see you again.